Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Russell Jackman. Mike McDowd is off on assignment today. At each commercial break, we are going to ask a trivia question. And Russ, so let's see, what's going on? We've got the 2025 Pro Football Hall of Fame inductees. Let's see, Jared Allen, Sterling Sharp, Eric Allen, and Antonio Gates. Do you have any issues with any of these guys being in?
I would hope that maybe Allen would want to join the 49ers since the Niners have their own, holdouts in the wide receiver spot, or they don't know what's going to happen with Juwan Jennings, and they don't have.
No. What I was getting at is hold on. I was getting on the Pro Football Hall of Fame guys who were coming in: Jared Allen, Sterling Sharp, Eric Allen, and Antonio Gates. Yeah, do you have any issues with any of these guys getting in?
Oh no, Antonio Gates was one of the best tight ends ever. I mean, yeah. And the other guys, Sharp, is obviously super famous. Outside of just not as a player. So no, I think those are good nominations for the Hall of Fame. I don't have any problems. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have it either. It's kind of interesting how it's like, you can't say the best. I mean, it's just, I guess there's just sort of it can get just expanded. Oh no, this guy's the best, or not necessarily the best, but it's like, okay, this guy's worthy of being in the hall.
You have to think in the era that he was in. I mean, certainly like Antonio Gates. I mean, he was, he kind of opened up. He was one of the ones that really opened up the modern wide receiver designation of tight ends. I know there were great catching tight ends before that, but I mean, really, Gates was almost a pure receiving tight end. Anyway.
Fair enough. All right. Audience, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. We got a lot to talk about. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown along with Russell Jackman. Again, Mike McDowd is off today on assignment, as we say. We're also getting into the season of Little League World Series. I always love that time. Do you like the Little League World Series?
No, I don't.
Really?
No, I don't. I think it puts a lot of pressure on the kids. The fact that it's televised and people are betting on the game, is...
I haven't heard about the betting part.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, remember, on the internet and in England, you can bet on literally anything in the universe. Yeah. So there are people that bet directly on the Little League World Series. And I think that it's become just too big for kids. It's taken out of the context of kids playing the sport because they enjoy it. It's now they want to win the Little League World Series because it makes them famous, and that's not what Little League should be about.
There was a movie that came out. Gosh, it has to be at least 15 years ago. In fact, Cheech Marin played the priest, and it had to do with the team from Mexico, and it was the only perfect game pitched in the League World Series. I don't know if you saw it, but it was actually a pretty good. It was kind of a good movie, and the game before, I think it was. I'm trying to remember if it was the semifinals or the finals, where basically these guys, I think they were from Mexico, who were mafia. And they said, you're going to have this guy this young man pitch, blah, blah, blah. And the coach says, no, we're not going to do it. And he defied him. But there you go. And that was going back to, I think 1957, if I'm not mistaken. And again, I don't know if that part of the story is true, but there you go. Betting on Little League World Series, even way back then.
Yeah, my whole feeling about sports and gambling, I just think that it is truly the root of all evil when it comes to sports. I think, steroids is one thing, but gambling, I think, is an even worse sin. Yeah. There's so many things you can gamble on, and that's what cards were invented for. That's what dice were invented for. Yeah. Why don't you bet on the things that you can that were made for gambling and not necessarily
and chance, like just total chance rather than I mean, I still think back to Muhammad Ali beating Sonny Liston with the Phantom Punch. if you watch that, I mean, he went down like what's going on with this guy?
But
And
interestingly, there was never any admission by either
no.
boxer when they died that, oh, by the way, we faked all this.
Well, I don't think Muhammad Ali, if I understand it correctly, I don't think Muhammad Ali was in on it, but Sonny Liston, unfortunately, there was some issues with some mafia guys, and there
Yeah, but
was
nobody since then has ever uncovered anything. No one's ever
no,
like,
there was a there was a I don't want to say a documentary, but in a way it was like a series on various mob bosses, and they go back to Al
yeah, but
Capone.
nobody's admitted the connection or anything like that. Nobody is.
No, but it's a very interesting. And again, you look at this stuff, you don't know how much is true, but they did make a point about this one guy, and I don't remember which mafia guy it was, but they talked about him and Sonny Liston. And there's lots of pictures of the two of them together and that sort of thing. So, well, maybe one can infer it, but you kind of still kind of wonder about
with
that
this
punch.
much time that's gone past. And they
Yeah.
haven't come up with solid information on it, I get more doubtful about it because, I mean, enough people, the people who are all involved in it are all dead now. So you'd think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
if there was some truth to all that, it would have come out now eventually.
Yeah,
But,
and it's, again, you kind of look at if you sort of look at it and you look at that Phantom Punch and you still wonder, okay, well, what? Then give me the story behind that. And it's funny because growing up, I remember hearing about the Sonny Liston fight, and I didn't know anything about him, and I just thought, oh boy, what a wimp. But then you find out he was an absolute bruiser. He was a Mike Tyson type of
well,
guy.
and also Muhammad Ali kind of went on from there to be kind of a famous fighter and beat a lot of other people up. So it's not as if that was the only time Muhammad Ali managed to knock somebody out. So, if he was a one-time deal, like, Buster Douglas kind of thing, where you just go, okay, then maybe the fix is in kind of thing. Although I still remember watching the entire Buster Douglas fight. It was funny with the NBA Slam Dunk contest. The All-Star Saturday night was the same night as the Buster Douglas fight. So I went over to my friend's house because he paid for the Buster Douglas Tyson fight. He paid for all the Tyson fights, and we were like, oh, it's going to be another 5-minute deal. So we'll watch the fight. It'll be over, and then we'll watch the NBA All-Star Slam Dunk thing. We never got to the NBA All-Star night because the fight went, like 8 or 10 rounds or something.
Yeah.
And
I'm trying to remember with Mike Tyson, was it just that he was just exhausted? He just didn't train for it. He was exhausted.
Yeah, and Buster Douglas really, 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 really wanted that. I mean, that shot at fame. Of course, he was a completely worthless boxing champion, and I think only defended the title once or twice, and then lost it again. So, but it was the stunningness. It was maybe the most stunning upset I've ever seen in my life in any fight anywhere, MMA, wrestling, or boxing. That was still like a story because we were sitting there watching, going, okay, Mike's just gonna get ready to knock him out. Okay, next round he's gonna knock him out. All right, next round, and then by the fourth round we were like, he's not gonna knock him out, is he? And Buster Douglas looks like he's gonna knock him out. And we were all just like standing around, like going, when is Mike going to?
If I remember, he didn't really look in shape either.
No, he was totally like asleep in the ring. And now Tyson has a new ad for men's soap, Squatch, deodorant soap, Squatch,
really?
SQATC. Yeah, and it's weird to see Mike Tyson at age 60, like promoting, like, in a boxing attire, promoting something. And B, why anyone would want to smell like Mike Tyson at all. That to me doesn't seem like a great marketing thing. I wouldn't want to...
and they probably are marketing it as, and you can smell like you just came out of the ring.
Well, you'll have to watch the ad yourself and see. They have to run subtitles for Mike because his language speaking is so hard to understand now
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah,
the
yeah.
average American won't be able to understand what the hell he says.
Well, he always had a lisp, but
Yeah.
is it really pronounced a lot
Yes.
more?
Yes.
Maybe
And
from
they're
all the
kind of
years
making
of
fun of
doing
that.
that.
They're kind of, I think they made fun of it in the sense that they're running subtitles under when he talks
Oh,
during the commercial. So
wow.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Gee.
But maybe speaking of fighters that haven't managed their money well, I did want to bring
Yeah,
up the subject of Hulk Hogan while we have a second.
sure,
Um,
sure. Yeah, we got. I tell you what. Yeah, yeah. Why don't you go ahead and bring it up, and then we'll probably
yeah,
continue
well,
on. Go ahead.
it's, Ozzy Osbourne died a week before Hulk Hogan did,
Yeah.
and they were saying about Ozzy's estate versus Hulk Hogan's estate. Now, do you
Okay.
know how much Ozzy Osbourne managed to ferret away? And what
I'm.
his estate was
You
worth?
know, I don't know. I'm going to say 75 million.
Ha! You're not even remotely close for a guy that deals with money. I thought
Well,
you'd be a lot
I
closer.
never followed him, so I didn't know how much.
$400 million.
Wow. Well, Sharon must have been a good manager. I mean, of course he could have been a good manager himself.
Well,
That's
he's been doing it
amazing.
since the 70s. You know how much Hulk Hogan's estate was worth?
But no, no, save that for us for the audience when
Okay,
we get back.
that's a
All
good
right,
trivia question.
here's our trivia question. Okay, our first one. Which US city is home to the world's tiniest park? And this isn't a hint, but this park consists of one tiny tree that takes up 452 square inches, and it's technically a park.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
I'll give you a hint. It's in the Western Hemisphere. The
Hmm.
Western part of the United States. Okay. All right. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown along with Russell Jackman. Our first trivia question: which U.S. city is home to the world's tiniest park?
I just am going to throw a city out there, and that's Tempe, Arizona.
No, it's up north. Portland,
Portland.
Oregon. Yeah.
I had
Again,
no.
these questions are sort of like, just very, very random type things.
Well, it's true. That is trivia for you.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
it.
So Hulk Hogan,
Yeah, I was
what was
going to
his
ask.
estate?
Okay, so if Ozzy Osbourne's estate was worth $400 million, how much was Hulk Hogan's estate worth?
Well, you kind of told us ahead of time that it was like, contrasting. So I'm going to say 4 million.
It's 25.
25 million. Okay. I mean, it's still a lot of
Which
money, but yeah, you'd think that with all
it's
the
not
all
a
the
lot
fame.
when you consider how long
Yeah.
he was, in the business for,
Yeah.
and how many commercials he sold. He
Yeah.
was earning, I think, around 4 million a year by the time he was done. Finished as.
Okay. So now I don't know if I remember correctly, but this is actually, I don't really know this. Ozzy Osbourne only had one wife, Sharon, and
Yes,
Hulk Hogan had at least two wives, right?
yes,
And
and
then there
Linda
you go.
Hogan.
That's the formula there. Stay married and you'll get to keep your hundreds of millions of
It's
dollars.
very true. It's very
Yeah.
true. I think Linda has fought him every inch of the way for the money once she got divorced. But also, it's a backstory about Hulk Hogan is
Yeah.
that he was offered the opportunity to endorse the George Foreman grill. The George Foreman grill makers went to Hulk
Yeah.
Hogan first and offered
Oh,
him the grill. And instead, Hulk Hogan opted for a meatball maker. Hulk Hogan,
wow.
Hulk Hogan's meatball maker, which is in every house, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has a Hulk Hogan meatball maker,
Yeah.
and instead,
Wow.
the George Foreman's grill wound
Yeah.
up earning George Foreman $200 million.
Not amazing. That's like, remember Joe DiMaggio, Mr. Coffee.
Yes, but
Yeah.
he
Same
didn't.
sort of thing.
But it didn't have his name on it. It wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't Joe
No, that's
DiMaggio's
true.
Mr.
That's true.
Coffee, whereas it was the
Yeah.
George Foreman grill. So he
Yeah.
got direct royalty. Joe DiMaggio got paid for his commercial endorsement, but George Foreman
Yeah.
got money for every grill that was sold.
Did you see the movie about George Foreman?
No, I have not.
You know what? I think you'd like it because
I heard it
they
was
also
kind of
talk about
preachy towards the end.
Right, say again.
I heard it was kind of preachy towards the end.
Oh yeah, but I mean that's his life. So I mean you're watching a thing about his life. The thing that's kind of cool is how, things had gone like down, 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 and then finally he gets this opportunity for the grill, and it's kind of okay, and then that's what kind of brings him back out of
It's true.
poverty, so to speak.
I'm
Yeah.
just really surprised that of the 9 kids that he had, none of them are boxers.
Wow.
Not one of them is in the fighting business.
Interesting. Very interesting.
And he had
Yeah,
a lot of
it's cool.
kids, so you'd think one of them, or even his daughter,
Yeah, yeah, one of them. That's a good
Georgina.
point. 'Cause you got to figure the genes are really good. It's funny. I'm still upset about that Rumble in the Jungle. Because I was never a Muhammad Ali fan, and I really liked George Foreman when he was fighting. That guy was he was a beast. And if it was fought in the United States without all the humidity and all this kind of stuff, I know that each one of them has the same advantage or disadvantage, but if they would have just trained normally. I think Foreman would have beat him.
The thing is, Foreman probably made more money after he retired and then came back than all those years that he was actually up and coming and an actual champion. He probably won more, in those tights fights.
Well, from a money standpoint, but I'm just thinking from just a boxer on boxer, and it's funny. I always wanted to see Mr. T against Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, no, they never turned either one of those guys heel and decide. Mr. T was always a super face, but he was also Mr. T. Really wasn't. He never really understood how to wrestle. I mean, that was never really something that he learned how to do.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. No, it'd be more. Fighting or whatever. I mean,
they had Roddy Piper. They had Roddy Piper face Mr. T in a boxing match. And it's still heralded as one of the worst events that the WWE's ever put on. The Mr. T Roddy Piper boxing match was absolutely horrible.
Well, was Roddy any kind of a boxer?
No, he wasn't. And after about 4 minutes in the ring, he threw off the gloves and started attacking Mr. T as a wrestler, and then they disqualified him. So it was really like one of the more disappointing events.
That's one way to get disqualified.
Yeah, it was really awful. It was really awful.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think Mr. T was a sparring partner for Muhammad Ali, wasn't he?
That part I don't remember. It wouldn't totally surprise me, because of the timing of it, but I think it would be a little young to have been Muhammad Ali's sparring partner. He would have had to be, keep in mind, he was like in his 20s in the 80s. Yeah. So, it would be hard to believe.
No. Wait, hold on. When he did Rocky 3, that was 1983, I think, wasn't it? 82 and 83, and he must have been 30, at least 30.
I don't think he was that old. I don't think he was that. You
really?
Look back on it, he seems pretty young.
I'll have to look that up. But yeah, Clubber Lang, man, what a brute.
As I said, I showed Rocky 3 to my daughter because I said there's really nothing more 80s that you can get than Rocky 3. Rocky 3
I mean, that was the best one too.
Well, and it sums up the action genre of the 80s really well. I mean, so Sylvester Stallone, you have Mr. T, you have Hulk Hogan. You can't talk about the 80s action wise without mentioning one of those three guys, if not all three.
That's true.
Guys. You throw in, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you throw in maybe Clint Eastwood, and you've really got the 80s action genre. If you have Sylvester Stallone, you have
Clint Eastwood, I would still think is more the 60s and 70s, not so much the 80s.
Sudden Impact was in the 80s.
Oh, that was in the 80s. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. And
Go ahead, Make My Day was in that one, I think, right?
Yeah. No, that was the original Dirty Harry.
No, it wasn't. Actually, it's funny. You go ahead, Make My. No, it's when he says, "All right, punk. I don't know if I had 6 shots or 5. and you have to decide, is it worth is it worth it? That's the original Dirty Harry, but the Go Ahead Make My Day was actually from Sudden Impact. That was
Is it
one of
from?
my trivia
Okay,
questions.
it's been
Yeah,
a long time since. I
I
do
know. It's been a
remember that
very long.
Dirty Harry winds up in the quarry that's over by Redwood
Yeah,
High School.
yeah, the old Hutchinson. I still remember that. And in fact, it's so funny because I remember it being in shop back then when they allowed kids to do shop in 12 years old. And I made this building and it looked like the Hutchinson one because it was kind of off. It had a big curve in it. We
Yeah,
called it
yeah,
the
yeah,
Hutchinson
yeah. It
one.
was
Yeah.
very distinctive. I don't know. Is the
Yeah.
Hutchinson building even there anymore?
No. Oh, no, that's Larkspur Landing.
Yeah, that's all been
Is what
turned
that
into.
became.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's where
And then
the melting pot is, or whatever,
yeah,
the
and then
fondue
well,
place.
if you remember the one right after Dirty Harry was Magnum Force, and that
Right,
was David Soul, who became
right, from
Hutch at
Starsky and
Starsky
Hutch.
and Hutch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
all right, back to sports. There's been a lot of trades going on, isn't there?
yeah, especially in baseball. I mean, the Giants are like half the team they were, when we
Yeah,
last talked.
Yastrzemski's gone, and
Yeah, which Yastrzemski is the epitome of nice guys finish in fourth place.
yeah,
I mean, nice guy.
yeah,
There's nothing. Nobody ever said anything negative about
yeah,
Yastrzemski's personality. He was
yeah,
beloved, but he's a sub-average player. He's not a bad player. He's not
yeah.
he's not worthless. In
He,
fact, maybe the big problem is he's just good enough to be average.
gotcha.
And
Well,
so and
he's not his grandfather, that's for sure.
no, he's not. But
And
he's
I
he's
was a
not
big
so
Yastrzemski
bad
fan.
that he's not so bad that he doesn't have a place on a major league roster, but
Yeah,
he's also just never going to click in and take it to the next level. And then we got rid of Tyler Rogers, we got rid of Duvall, who was an all-star, and then we go right out of that, and yeah, we win a couple against the Mets, but then yesterday we lose again to Pittsburgh in a very humiliating and annoying loss that is going to probably cost the chance. I don't think the Giants are making the postseason. I was really they
no,
were up 10 games. They were when they were tied
yeah,
with the Dodgers.
Dodgers, yeah,
And since
yeah.
then, they've just gone. They've only won 3 games since the All Star break.
And why is it that we always get, and I say we because we're Giants fans here, why do we always get players in the tail end of their careers, especially pitchers?
Well, I mean, the Giants do have some promising young pitchers in the sense that they had Birdsong
Yeah,
and
oh yeah,
Roop,
yeah.
and
Mhm.
but Birdsong kind of hit the wall, and Roop has been injured. So
Okay, all right. Let's go to our second trivia question
I know
here.
that finger.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. With the finger, yeah. What is the largest lake in the world? Now, technically, they call it a sea, but apparently it's a lake. So it's got the word sea in it, just so you know. SEA. All
Huh.
right. What is the largest lake in the world? All right. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Russell Jackman, and hopefully next week Mike McDowell will be off on assignment and back into the studio. Okay, second trivia question. What is the largest lake in the world?
Sargasso,
What,
Sargasso Sea.
Sargasso? Don't know that one. It's
Okay.
143,000 square miles. And
I
it's
was thinking it was Lake Superior before you said this, but
yeah,
in
no,
this
that's actually technically it's the Caspian Sea.
huh?
I didn't realize that that's a lake.
I didn't either.
I didn't either.
So
And I
that's
didn't
why.
make this up, people. I tell you what though, the next question will be easier for you. Okay.
Yeah, hopefully not geography based. I'm not the world's greatest geography trivia.
Yeah,
No.
don't worry. It's not a geography question. Okay, so yeah, let's do a quick fun joke here. So this guy finds a bottle on the beach, and of course there's a genie in it, and the genie says, "Hey, listen, forget this 3 wishes stuff. You only have 2 wishes." And the guy says, "Okay, well, I'm here on this beach, but it's a stranded island. I've always wanted to go to Hawaii. Can you build me a bridge to Hawaii?" And the genie says, "Are you kidding? Do you know the engineering and all the cement and all the steel and how long it would take and how many lights it would be to light it up from here to Hawaii? You got to be kidding me. You got to give me a second to give me your other wish." And he says, "Okay, well, I'd like to understand women." And again, the genie says, "So how many lights on that bridge do you want?"
Yeah, I can have that bridge ready for you next Tuesday.
I like that. That's cute. All right. So, yeah, hey, we're just what, a couple of months away from your favorite sport coming back?
Uh, you're
Basketball?
talking golf.
Yeah, golf. Yeah.
No, I don't care about golf. Yeah, no, football is revving up. Obviously, America, literally is on its haunches, like getting ready for the snap. You know,
Yeah.
America literally waits in slumber for football season.
Well, that's what Rogers Hornsby said about the wintertime. You sit out there looking at the
I
winter.
mean, I really feel, unfortunately, that basketball has sort of slipped backwards and
Really?
is now back to being, well, it's clearly the second sport. And it's, now I think it's wrangling with baseball as far as like who's going to be number 3. And football is like the number 1 and the number 2 sport. It's so, or, NFL and then college football are like the 1 and 2 sports.
Yeah.
And then the NBA and Major League Baseball trail behind. I think it's big for baseball. It's been tough because the competitive balance is so far off, and even adding the extra wild card thing, extra wild card spots still doesn't make it more than a regional sport. And baseball still, I mean, people mostly follow their team, but they don't follow. I'm guilty of that. I follow the Giants, and I don't watch any other baseball games.
One of the problems with the NBA is that half the season seems like it's taken up with the playoffs, or because at least half the teams make it.
Yeah, and now with the 9 and 10 spot and the play-in games and all that stuff you almost don't need to pay. It's almost kind of like college basketball. You don't need to pay any attention to the regular season. You just pay attention to the tournament, and the regular season for the NBA is becoming less and less meaningful. And it's more about do you make the playing game? Do you make the top 10? I mean, I thought the Warriors were compelling last year to watch, but I'm not sure they're going to be all that compelling this year.
No, it reminds me of when you're talking about all these playoff games. So before 1969, you used to have in baseball just just
division winners.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, well, it wasn't even. No, it was national versus American. You didn't even have, the only reason that the 69 Mets got into the World Series is because they that was the first year they started it. And I think I want to say they beat the Cubs, but that doesn't make sense because that's right, because the Cubs used to be in the western side of it used to be just the two halves. They beat the Cubs to get in. Otherwise, the Cubs, I think, would have been in the World Series back then.
I was 2, so I wasn't really actively watching a lot of baseball at that time. So,
I was a big Mets
pretty much for my whole life, it's always been the division winners, the go. But now they've added the third wild card, and even that, I don't think the Giants are going to get. So, it's. But I mean, the whole thing is the more they expand these playoff things, the more cities are in contention, the more people pay for tickets and watch the games because they're still in contention for a playoff spot. So, I mean, it's also, it's all around how much money they can make from, bringing people in to watch these things.
Well, I wonder what these ticket prices are going to look like too. It's.
I know. Well, the WWE just had a SummerSlam, their mid-year event, and I heard that tickets for that people were paying $25,000 for front seat,
really?
for up close front seats for the
WWE.
Yeah,
and who are the major wrestlers?
Now it's a 2-night thing too. That's the other thing about SummerSlam and WrestleMania they made them into 2 nights each. So it depends where you go the first night, or do you go the second night, or you go to both nights. First night, the main event was CM Punk versus Gunther, two people you probably don't even know. And then the main event on a Sunday night was John Cena against Cody Rhodes.
Okay, so John Cena I know.
But the problem is that required like 18 matches to get to. There were, like 9 matches in the first night, and there were 9 matches in the second day. So,
well, and each match is lasting how long average?
An eternity. To be honest with you, watching it felt like each match lasted 9 or 10 hours. It was the entrances. The entrances of wrestling have become so overblown that now you can easily watch for 20 minutes as the wrestlers get to the ring.
Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. Okay, so let me ask you: when you first get to the stadium, call it right, the venue, thank you, and the wrestlers first come out till the time that you go home, how many hours is that?
We're talking at least 4, and sometimes 5 or 6. If they have what's called dark matches they don't show on TV, that could be another hour's worth of stuff. And it's relentless as far as there's always music going on. There's always they'll show you on the giant jumbotron what happened before that match, the build up or whatever. So you're often watching stuff on the screen before you even watch it in the ring. So,
and how many people generally are in the venue?
If you looked at SummerSlam this weekend, there wasn't an open seat in the entire arena. So
how many of that?
You can fit so much more people in to see a wrestling match than a football game, because you can put people down on the field. And you don't have
40,000?
Oh, it was more like 65.
Really?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I mean, there wasn't an open seat, and you had people all the way up at the very top. You have people paying $500 or $600 to go sit in a seat that's behind a stanchion or a speaker, and those poor fools wind up watching the entire event on their stupid phone. Because they can't see from where they're sitting.
How much would the cheapest seat be in something like that?
Like $500.
That's amazing. I mean, that's almost like the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it is. That's what SummerSlam and WrestleMania have become, Super Bowl type events now.
You know what? Good for them. I mean, I don't begrudge that at all.
Good for them, but bad for the fans. I think it's shame on the fans for throwing so much money down and legitimizing what was honestly, and my friend Evan, who watches matches too, we both agreed there were about 4 really good matches, out of 18, and would you watch, a football game only to watch the fourth quarter, and the first 3 quarters were absolute garbage.
Well, and here's the thing: in theory, football is not scripted, but yet wrestling is, scripted, right? So they got no excuse for that then, because they can. Yeah, that's a good point.
But you know what, though?
It's going to be supply and demand. I mean, if it continues to be that unattractive, they're going to lose fans.
But the other way around is that they can throw whatever garbage at the fans, and they're still going to show
right now. But how long will that last?
It seems like it seems like it goes up exponentially, and it doesn't seem to be a bubble that anyone feels that the WWE can go too far, and people will say, no, we won't pay for this. In fact, by charging more for it, it makes it an even more exclusive event, and people seem to be happier to know that they've paid more, because they feel that they've done something more exclusive if it's just a regular show that people do.
That reminds me, back in I think it was the early 1800s. Don't quote me on that. There was
Tulips.
some kind of a bridge where
Oh,
it was a footbridge, and if you
it was made
were
by that genie you were just talking about.
yeah, that's right, exactly. Yeah. And the way what had happened was that they would say, if not everybody was wealthy enough to own shoes, so they said if you walk across the bridge and you have shoes on, it costs you $1, and if you are barefoot, it's free. Well, the people who had shoes said, I don't want to pay $1. So they took their shoes off, and the people who were really poor wanted to show that they were rich. So they would pay the $1, put on those people's shoes, and walk across.
Sure. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
if you
all perception.
the element that you can be there. It's now
Yeah.
WrestleMania and SummerSlam have more to do with people saying that they were there than it is
Oh, yeah.
to okay, they went and the matches were great. And I mean, I went to
Yeah, but then
WrestleMania too.
you can just
I was
tell
there.
people, yeah, I was there.
I was
I
there.
think it
Well,
was
I was there at WrestleMania too. I was
okay.
actually there, and my brother and I got tickets to the LA Sports Arena
Yeah,
where it was at, and they were $15.
yeah. Well, back
So
then, what year is that?
85, 86 maybe.
Wow. So right after Hulk Hogan did, yeah, well, he kind of,
WrestleMania.
I don't say he put wrestling on the map because it was always popular, but he really kind of elevated it. Tell you what, we're going to go to our next trivia question here. All right. This one will be a little easier for you there, my friend. What was the name of the first permanent English settlement in the Americas? What was the name of the first permanent English settlement in the Americas? All right. You are listening to Sports Econ 101. Make sure that you don't touch that dial because we're going to be back with some closing comments and Russell's favorite part of the show, our thoughts of the day. Stay with us. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Russell Jackman. Third trivia question: what was the name of the first permanent English settlement in the Americas?
George, I have no idea.
Oh, you're close. Jamestown.
Oh, Jamestown.
Remember
Okay.
Jamestown, 1607. Your favorite year.
Remember? No, I don't remember from 1607. How about that? I would.
How about no? You got to remember
My
your
kids try to tell me
history.
how old I am, but I was not around in 1607. One time,
You
my
didn't
kids did
learn
ask.
that when you didn't learn that in high school. Come
One
on,
time,
come
my
on,
kids
man.
did ask if I was around for the Civil War.
Your kids asked you that. You know what?
Yes.
My wife's grandfather was around for the Civil War, if you can believe
Yeah.
that.
I know. I heard that one of the widows from the Civil War died just only a few years ago. There was not. I'm sorry, not a daughter from one of the Civil War
daughter.
veterans. Yeah,
Yeah.
died just a few years
Actually,
ago.
you know what? That's well. My wife's grandfather wasn't in the Civil War, but he was born just before the Civil War. But he was a little kid. All right,
Wow.
are you ready for our thoughts of the day? Prepare yourself for this one. So last year, 117,000 people died from gym injuries, but only one person died eating a donut. So I tell you, it's all about life's choices, right? And
Who was the person that died eating the donut? By the way.
I don't know. They must have choked on something.
Yeah.
While
I
they
mean,
were
how
at
do
the
you
gym.
choke on a donut though?
Choke on a
That
donut?
in
I don't know.
itself deserves its own inquiry. Like how you can
You know what?
choke
I'll
on
have to look
something
that
that's
one up.
that soft.
That's a good point. I will have to look that up. And then last week I went out for a run, and after 2 minutes I realized I forgot something. I forgot that I'm out of shape and I can't run for more than
Yeah,
2
I hate
minutes.
running. Yes, you forgot to say.
Yeah, I like that. I like your answer better. I hate running. All right, audience, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Adios.
So long.